What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Early Edge live NFL playoff preview. I'm your host, Alan Bell. We got a fantastic show lined up for you tonight. And I'll tell you what, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right to it, breaking down the Chargers at the Jaguars. So let's bring in the stars of the show, huh? We got a star-studded lineup tonight. You know that. First off, my man, Prop Stars. How we doing, sir?
AB, we're doing great. Mikey, Cousin Sia, great to see you guys. Entertaining first half, kind of came off the rails a bit for the Seahawks in the second half. Looking forward to this game tonight. I think this is going to be the best game potentially of the entire wild card weekend. And AB, I got to tell you, I love that chain.
Dude, I tell you what, look, we said it. The playoffs were here. Hey, big game hunting. The Tiger is out tonight. I love it, man. M Squared, how we doing, sir?
We're doing well, AB. Got one leg down on the parlay. Niners, I wasn't worried at all, but gave some people in the comment section a little scare in the first half. But they took care of business, and we're rolling forward. Looking forward to this game.
Dude,
Proppy, I think it's going to be one of the best games of the entire playoffs.
Man, I hope so, right? Like, this game has the potential to do it. And Sia, I know that you've got a specific play. We'll get into it in a second, but it does say that it's going to be a fun game. And hello, sir. Good to see you.
It does say it's going to be a fun game. I anticipate it being a fun game, much like this Niners game was. I think from what I've seen so far, the SportsLine brand has done really, really well today. And I hope we can continue that with this game because I have quite a few plays on this next one.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait, man. I'll tell you what, we're going to break those down right now. But first off, let's just talk real quick. All right, this 49ers game that we saw, what did the 49ers outscore after at halftime? Was it 25-0? Did that number get higher? Right? Like, the Seahawks were in this thing, and then San Francisco, shout out to Brock Purdy. I mean, our dude has been balling today. I throw it to any of you guys, man. Any thoughts that you have? Yeah, Props, go ahead. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I was a bit surprised with Seattle in the second half. We saw Kenneth Walker had a lot of success in the first half running the football. Seattle had a really balanced game plan. Obviously worked out well for them having a 1-point lead at halftime, and then didn't receive a single rushing attempt, or he had one or zero rushing attempts in the second half, and he was healthy. He didn't exit the game via injury. So a bit surprised by Seattle having a lead at halftime and then just completely abandoning the run, which seemed to be kind of the motor of their success early on. So that was definitely surprising.
Yeah, it definitely was. But yeah, Sia, go ahead.
No, one thing I want to say, and I've been beating this drum, but I don't think you can say it enough. I mean, Brock Purdy has been great, and he's really showed out better than I even thought he could. But Kyle Shanahan, listen, you can put a quarterback into a Kyle Shanahan offense, and Kyle Shanahan can work wonders with spacing and all of the things you need as a young, inexperienced quarterback. And we're seeing that. Of course, Brock Purdy is carrying the torch to a large degree, but without Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy doesn't look nearly as good as this. Now, granted, he has all the weapons too, but I think we got to give credit all around, and Kyle Shanahan is at the top of that list for me.
Yeah, dude, you said that, oh, well, gosh, it felt like, near a month ago, right? And you mirrored that week after week after week. And, I mean, yeah, like, look how many teams across the NFL, have starting quarterbacks that aren't playing as well in terms of this offense, right? And, I mean, to be doing it with a third-string quarterback, I'll say this, Trey Lance, my man, yeah, like you're gonna have a little competition in camp next year, dude. Like, I mean, it's just a good problem to have,
Yes.
for Kyle Shanahan. So yeah. All right, let's get into our best bets for tonight. All right, and first off, Prop Stars, I'm gonna come to you, man, because you know what? You are the Austin Eckler whisperer of this show. However, that doesn't always mean that you're playing overs. So I throw it to you. What do you got?
Yeah, correct, AB. We've had a lot of good luck with Austin Eckler. I think we faded him just as many times as we've backed him on this show. But, yeah, we're fading him tonight under 51.5 rushing yards. In my opinion, this line should have opened in the mid-40s. Eckler, for as brilliant as he is, and he certainly is one of the best players in the NFL, he is not really an effective ball carrier in between the tackles. He's a very unconventional running back. Obviously, he's probably the best receiving running back in the NFL. But, yeah, he just really struggles. And the Chargers also just struggle as a team opening up running lanes for him. So this is just a high number. He's only eclipsed 70 yards 3 times this season, 70 rushing yards. So, again, big number for him. Plus, the Jags are very stout defensively, especially up front. They're 6th in EPA allowed per rush, 11th in rushing DVOA. These teams played back in week 3. Eckler had 5 carries for 4 yards in that game. Obviously not expecting a repeat performance of that, but I just think that this line should have opened probably somewhere between 43 and 45 at the most. So really like fading Austin Eckler's rushing yards today. One quick caveat is I really like his receiving line in this game, but I just think he's going to struggle to run the ball. I also think we'll see a lot of Josh Kelly in between the tackles as well.
Yeah, I mean, what was that number that you just said? 5 carries for 4 yards. Is that right?
Yep.
When the hell has he ever done that? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one, man. All right, M Square, coming over to you, buddy. You got one play here. Money line play, straight up one team. What do you got?
Yes, I am on the Chargers tonight, AB. On the opposite side of a few of our colleagues for sure on this one, but I love the Chargers. Played it Wednesday back when they were -1, also -120. That number is long gone despite Mike Williams being out. I like him to win the game. I'm not adding anything additional currently in this particular spot, but I do not believe in Trevor Lawrence at this particular moment. I do, however, believe in the health of the Chargers defense being able to put some pressure on Trevor Lawrence in this game. And then on the other side, the Chargers, you can run on them. However, I think that Peterson's going to abandon the run a little too quickly in the game and try to let Trevor Lawrence throw the football here. This Chargers defense has been one of the better defenses in the National Football League against the pass since about the middle of the season. Now they are definitely healthy in terms of the pass rush. The only thing that can keep Jacksonville alive, in my opinion, in this spot is if Trevor Lawrence has a massive day with his legs.
You know, that part's interesting. And props, yeah, I saw you. Yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah, I know I'm not side stars, I'm prop stars here, but I absolutely love Mike's money line play on the Chargers. I just think the Chargers there's a huge talent differential between these two teams. I think we saw Jacksonville peak. It was basically their Super Bowl beating the Titans last week as well. I think there's going to be a natural come down from that. It also required a miracle defensive touchdown to beat a Josh Dobbs-led Titans team as well. It seemed like the Titans were the better football team for the majority of that football game. So I completely agree with Mikey. I think the Chargers are a much better football team. So just wanted to add my approval to that pick. I think it's a great spot to back the Chargers.
I like it, man. I like it. I tell you what, we're going to get to the quarterbacks and all the props in a second. Anybody that has any prop questions, any game questions, drop them in the chat now. We're going to finish up with our best bets here. Sia, go ahead, my man. You got a couple of them, and I think I like all 3. So let them rip, sir. The counselor of cash. Apologies.
Oh, you can call me whatever you want, Alan. I hope you like all 3. So let me start with the quarterback one because, frankly, Mike just kind of left off with Trevor Lawrence potentially rushing. I like Trevor Lawrence rushing in this game. I have it over 13.5 rushing yards at -120. I mean, this is one of those kind of really good situations where you have a team in the Los Angeles Chargers that blitzes a good amount and also plays man coverage. Those usually go hand in hand, by the way. Also plays a lot of man coverage. And that is the type of situation where you want to have your able-bodied running quarterback, in this case, rush for some yards. So he didn't hit it last week against the Titans, different type of matchup. The week before that, he didn't play a complete game against the Houston Texans. If you take the 8 games prior to that, he hit this number in 6 out of 8 of them. And most of the time it was a healthy hit. In other words, way over 13.5 rushing yards. So I like the situation here. Then I'll go over to Keenan Allen over 6.5 receptions. This was a site play I put on SportsLine on Wednesday night. And predictably, the juice went completely out of control. So if you can still get it at 6.5 receptions at, I'd say, -140 or better, then you're in pretty good shape. This is just one of those things where Keenan Allen's going to be the preferred target. The way you attack the Jacksonville Jaguars is through the air. You don't try to run on them. You can try. It will be unsuccessful. That's how it's been all season. So give me Keenan Allen over 6.5 receptions. By the way, the last 5 games, he's had 12, 8, 11, 5, and 8 receptions. Not targets, but receptions. Also, the Jaguars, not very good against slot receivers compared to the boundary receivers. So that's a bump up for Keenan Allen there. Finally, as I catch my breath, the Chargers-Jaguars over 47.5. This is just one of those situations. I actually got the bad number because I think the Mike Williams news broke after I put this play on SportsLine. So it's now down to 47. Not a huge difference, but it's certainly a difference. This is one of those situations where I think both these defenses are bad. I understand that both of them have been playing better as of late, but let me give you the last 7 combined opponents for these two teams, the Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Broncos, the Rams, the Colts, the Titans twice, the Texans, and the Jets. I mean, can you name a worse offense than that? So I don't want to fall into a trap of, oh, well, all of a sudden these defenses are really good. So I think both teams offensively are going to be able to move the ball. And so I like the over here, 47.5. You can get it now at 47. Certainly like that a lot better, obviously.
Yeah, I'm with you. And when you went through that list there, right? Like the fact that the Titans are at the top of that list of like good offenses, that ain't good, like at all, because that's not a good offense. And you're right. I mean, I think if you look at the past 5 games for both teams, their defenses are, I think, giving up on average like 15.5 points, right? Which, I mean, their defenses can play well in spurts, but it speaks more to what you were saying in regards to the competition that they were going up against. All right.
And one other thing, Alan, just a very small thing to point out, but I think it might make a difference to this total, is that we have 2 coaches that are willing to take chances, particularly on 4th downs, which can push for touchdowns, but can also push for short fields if you don't convert. So I think the coaching comes into this a little bit as well.
You know what? I'm glad that you just said that. All right. Let me get into mine, and I'm going to put the best bets on the board so everybody can see it here. All right. So I've got 3. I'm going Jaguars team total over 22.5. I'm going Chargers team total over 23.5. I like that we're getting both under 24. I really like that we're getting the Jaguars under 23. And I'm also going to go Chargers-Jaguars total punts over 8.5. DraftKings has brought that back. We were cashing on these so much at the beginning of the season. They took them away. And yeah, it's a little bit of a hedge in terms of if both teams aren't really scoring points. But I'm with you, man. Like 2 teams that generally go for almost everything. Yeah, like I feel like there could be a little bit of, kind of regressing back down to the mean in terms of more punts, less 4th down opportunities. So that's where I sit with those 3. The Maestro is on Travis Etienne over 75.5 rushing yards. Speculators on Austin Eckler over 4.5 receptions. Dave Richard is on Josh Palmer over 4.5 receptions. And yeah, there we go right there. So let's get into let's get into the prop bets and questions and all of that. All right, so I want to start. We'll just kind of go position group by position group. All right. And Mike, I'm going to come back at you, man. We were talking about quarterbacks. Okay. So how do you feel in terms of, and you don't have to like break down like, hey, I love this number, I love that. Like, just how do you feel in regards to both quarterbacks? What their pass attempts could look like, completions could look like, interceptions could look like, sacks could look like, anything. Just in general, are you seeing any big variances? Yeah, break it down. What do you got?
Yeah, the 2 things I'm looking at here, rushing yardage most of all, honestly. I like the over on both quarterbacks on rushing yards for several reasons. I think Herbert is someone who's not really run as a starter in the NFL. However, he is athletic enough. This is the time where they save the body for everything. This is where it's all on the line. This is where you pick up that 3rd or 4th down conversion. His number's low enough, so I like the over there. I like the over on Trevor Lawrence. I like taking an alt number over on Trevor Lawrence. I would bet him up to 30 rushing yards tonight personally. And then the only other quarterback edge that I'm remotely interested in playing is Justin Herbert over on passing attempts. I think the number is around 37 still. I think the number should be 39.5 is where the number should be at the sports books. So that's where I'll leave it there. More focus on rushing with these 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And Sia, props, anything that you guys have in regards to quarterbacks, what are your feels here? Either of you.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead. I mean, I support the rushing prop part. I mean, I'm happy because, again, I obviously have Trevor Lawrence. And honestly, I looked at Justin Herbert's over rushing prop as well. I like it. It's 7.5, depending on where you look, but it's juiced to the over. But I agree with Mike. I mean, you have to consider this is playoff time, and there are going to be situations where Herbert just tucks it and runs. So I actually like both rushing props. If I was going to look at the yardage, I would probably look at I would probably look at Trevor Lawrence's over because it's a lot less than Justin Herbert's, but it's not something I'm willing to bet there. I like the pass attempts prop, and I actually kind of like the pass completions when it comes to Justin Herbert of 25.5.
I think Chief likes it too. Prop stars, any thoughts you have here on either quarterback?
Sorry, that's on my end. I've got my father-in-law's dog here.
You're just running an alarm over there.
As far as quarterbacks go, I do also like Lawrence's rushing prop as well. As far as their passing props are concerned, I think the numbers are fairly efficient. I have a slight lean actually to Trevor Lawrence's pass attempts over. You can find it between 34, 35.5. Mikey alluded to this. Doug Peterson is very quick to abandon the run. I think it's a great matchup against the Chargers, but I can see a scenario where if the Chargers are up by 3 to 7 points, he will abandon the run very quickly. So I think that could result in uptick in attempts from Trevor Lawrence. So that's one spot that I like, but for the most part, I think they're all pretty efficient numbers.
Okay, I'll tell you what. All right, let's jump into the wide receivers here, and I'll start here, Kyle. His question: who's your favorite Jags wide receiver to hit their over? And let me give you guys some numbers here real quick, so that we can, kind of dissect this thing properly here. All right, receiving yards, and I'm just going to kind of go through all of them. Austin Eckler's at 37.5, Christian Kirk 57.5, DeAndre Carter 32.5, Donald Parham 11.5, Evan Ingram 41.5, Gerald Everett 31.5. Josh Palmer, 48.5. Josh Kelly, 6.5. Keenan Allen, 79.5. Marvin Jones Jr., 27.5. Zay Jones, 47.5. Travis Etienne, 15.5. So, props, I'll throw it right back to you and then see Mike jump in. Did anything, kind of stick out to you, whether over or under on wide receivers there?
Yeah, I like Eckler quite a bit tonight, especially in the receiving department. Obviously, I know we're fading his rushing line, but yeah, I think he's going to be really utilized in the short area passing game. No Mike Williams, obviously, could result in an uptick in a few more targets for him as well. So I think we'll see a lot of Eckler. I love Keenan Allen, his spot tonight. His yards have jumped up a lot since his line originally opened, so I don't know how much value is left there. Love to see his look as far as attacking it from a volume-based standpoint. As far as Jags receivers go, they really spread the wealth to all the wide receivers. Etienne mixes in. Evan Ingram has really been Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets over the second half of the season. So, yeah, as far as value there, I think this could be a spot to see Zay Jones get a little more burn. He seems to be the really good possession receiver, and Trevor Lawrence really trusts him. Plus, he's kind of been quiet over the last 4 or 5 games as well. So I like this spot for Zay Jones to potentially have a bounce-back game.
See it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I like Zay Jones as well. And it's been 4.5. His reception prop specifically has been 4.5. It's juiced a little bit to -125. I like that. Zay Jones, the last time these two teams played was a long time ago. I believe it was week 3. And that was when Herbert was still coming off his rib cartilage injury. But in that game, Zay Jones caught 10 of 11. And he really, and that's not just a one sample size, right? Like he's been doing that quite a bit, not lately, but I think in this matchup, Zay Jones is going to be a very reliable receiver. One sort of obscure receiver that, Alan, you actually mentioned, and I was surprised, is Marvin Jones. He's been getting way more targets lately than people think, and he's getting them down the field. So his 27.5 receiving yard prop, I think, is pretty good. I think his longest reception prop, I believe it's 16.5. I think that's pretty good too. I think Marvin Jones is a little sneaky here. And I think he might, with all the attention being on guys like Ingram and Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, I think you could see Marvin Jones getting loose in this one.
Yeah. Mikey, any thoughts you have there? Wide receivers as a whole.
Yeah, just pass catching in general, like Austin Eckler a ton. I think he has more receiving yards than rushing yards tonight in this game. Should be heavy volume for him. So as far as the Jacksonville side, I'm not speculating really on anything. I think that they spread it out way too much, in my opinion. I also think that it's a matchup where they can have a ton of success on the ground. If you want to have some fun, spoiler alert, no donkey parlay tonight, but if you want to have some fun, Jamal Agnew is someone that I think you could speculate on. The props are low. As long as he is all active and healthy and ready to go here, he is the kind of player that is very fast, mixes in these kind of games quite often.
Yeah. All right. Nice, man. Now, Pooh Bear asked about the no-fly zone. All right. So Justin Herbert over half an interception at +106. I think Trevor Lawrence is he's like -110 or maybe -105. Look, I don't love nor hate either of them. I'll say this. If I had to pick one, I think I would go Justin Herbert because, as the guys mentioned, there are going to be likely an uptick in pass attempts. Plus, the Jaguars secondary has been hot in terms of creating turnovers. We've seen them do that week after week after week. Now, a little bit is what Sia said in regards to the competition that they're playing against. But on the other side, here's the hard part. Justin Herbert in this Chargers offense really doesn't throw deep all that much. It's a lot of short passes. So they're very low risk. That's the difficult part. If they get an uptick in longer pass attempts, yeah, like you've got a really good shot at it. But if he's throwing 5 yards and in, I mean, who's going to pick it off, right? Now, you look on the other side with Trevor Lawrence. Dude, he gets the ball out. I think it's like the 9th fastest in the NFL this year. Last year, he was 22nd, right? Like he is getting the ball out of his hands quickly, and he'll throw for sure longer, longer pass attempts than really what Herbert's been doing lately. But I got to give credit. Like Lawrence has been accurate, dude. Like this dude has been accurate. Now, if you get after him with the sacks, he'll fumble, right? So I think that your best play is playing total game turnovers at like 1.5, 2.5, than going interceptions. But again, I don't hate it. I just don't like love it. You know what I mean? Like that's the difficult part is both of these guys could go off. Mike, were you about to say something?
No, just thinking about ball there for Trevor Lawrence. I'm just expecting big things from Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack tonight.
Yeah, see, you know what? Okay, that's a good question. All right, I'm going to ask you guys this. I think DraftKings has it at plus 105. I'll have to take a look. Trevor Lawrence, I'm sorry. Do the Chargers record more than 2.5 sacks against the Jaguars at like plus 105? What were your thoughts?
I lean on it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally lean on yes that they do, but
yeah, I see. I wrestle with that. Like I almost played it, man. Like, and you could get like Bosa at like I think it's like plus or it's like 0.75 sacks at plus money. Trayvon Walker on the Jaguars side, same thing. I think it's 0.75 at like plus 140. So yeah, I mean those are tough. Yeah. Props. Go ahead.
I do want to caution people with playing IDP, particularly sack IDPs. There is a massive differential between a sack total that's listed at 0.25 and 0.75. So often you see two people involved on a sack. And plus they often get ruled half sacks. So just want to be very careful. There is a significant difference between a sack prop that's listed at 0.25 and 0.75. So the latter being much harder to obtain.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. I'm glad that you said that. Those are difficult, dude. Like they are so difficult. Let me get some more questions in the chat here. And let me see. We got that one. Jags wide receiver hit their over. Let's see. Etienne over 16.5 attempts at plus 100. Yeah, props. Go ahead.
I actually like this under. I know it's a really good matchup. I know the Chargers are a huge run funnel, have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL this season. I just worry again about Doug Peterson. He is so quick to abandon the run. We've seen so many games where Etienne gets off to a really good start, and then we just see Trevor Lawrence airing the ball out and really just kind of mirrored what happened in the Seattle-San Francisco game with Kenneth Walker. So I just want to caution people if they're trailing in this game, which I anticipate they will be against an explosive Chargers offense, I really just don't think the rushing volume is going to be there. If you could guarantee me that Etienne was going to get 15 carries, I would say I love his over 75.5 rushing yards, but I just really don't have confidence in that volume. Therefore, I actually think there's some value baked into that under of 16.5 attempts.
Well said, sir. Well said. All right. Another question here from our man Mike. Would you take Keenan Allen over 8.5 receptions or Austin Eckler over 5.5 receptions? Sia, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, I wouldn't take either because those are bad numbers, but clearly there's some juice attached to those. I mean, the Allen prop is 6.5, and I believe the Eckler prop is 4.5. So you'd have to tell me what the juice is, but which one is more likely? I think it's probably more likely that Eckler catches 6 balls than it is Keenan Allen catching 9, but they're both pretty high numbers, and I'm assuming they're at like plus 265 or plus 225 for you. I'd rather just take the number that's out there at minus 115, minus 120.
Yeah, totally got you, man. All right, here's a question. I'm gonna throw it out to you guys, man. I'd love your thoughts here. Field goal props. Like we talked about the game script with these two teams in on fourth downs that they're both pretty aggressive, right? But that was the regular season. This is the playoffs. There's also an element to where Staley might kind of be coaching for his job, right? Like he might need to win this game here. I thought to you guys, do you see any scenarios like, do you see, field goals being prevalent in this game? Mike, I'll throw it to you, but props, Sia, I mean, anybody feel free to jump in. Just your thoughts from a game script perspective.
Yeah, so I'll say if I was going to attack one of the kickers, it would probably be Riley Patterson on the Jags side. I expect them to kick more field goals. The Chargers, look, I think the Chargers invite moving the football between the 20s a little bit and want to clamp down a little more bend, don't break. I think Jacksonville playing on their home field with Peterson initially, I think they will take the points when they can get them. So yeah, if I had to, if I was going to play Dicker on the total points, I wouldn't play over 1.5 field goals. I would elect to play his points one and at least capture the 3 or 4 extra points potentially.
Nice. Okay. Well said there. Travis Etienne, over 78.5 rushing yards. Anybody? Thoughts one way or the other? I know we kind of just talked about it.
It's too high for me. You know, one thing I mentioned on the Twitter Spaces prop show that I joined on Wednesday and that we or Thursday and that we talked about on the Friday prop show is that I kind of like his overall number, his rushing and receiving number, because again, if we think the game script might get a little sideways, and I'm not saying it will, but you know, we know Etienne's not really a pass catcher, but he is getting around 3 targets every single game. And he's so dynamic against a pretty soft defense that he could absolutely get loose on 1 or 2 or 3 of his catches. So that's why I think I like the combined line, because if I get the combined line, I'm getting Etienne in a negative game script and I'm getting in a positive and neutral game script. So I think that's the way I'd like to target it. At this point, you're not even getting a good number, right? It's 78.5. It's now up 3 yards from where it opened. And that's kind of a lot when you're talking about a number this big. I believe the total line at most places is 96.5. I think that's where I'd target it.
Yep. All right, Mike, I'm going to come right back at you. We got questions in the chat here. Let me find it 1 second. All right, they're asking about the first quarter here. All right, we've got a total of 8.5 in the first quarter, and Chargers are a 1.5 point favorite. Any thoughts that you have on the first quarter here?
Yeah, I'm not going to bet it. I know it's a fun bet. We bet a lot of them together throughout the football season. There's a massive difference betting these in college football versus the NFL. The NFL markets are so much more efficient in this spot. So I'm on the Chargers. I think they have success early in this game. I think we see 10 points in the quarter. If you forced me to play something, it would be the over, but I'm not going to play it. So I'm certainly not betting first quarter under here tonight.
Nice. Okay. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's do something fun here. All right. Anytime touchdown scores. All right. And our man Buddy asked this one. All right. So I'm going to read you some names here. You guys probably have them in front of you, but let me just read them out. And this is for anytime touchdown in the game. All right. And we're going to have our gym tonight in regards to the first touchdown score, but this is just anytime. All right. So let me read these out here. Austin Eckler, -155. Etienne, -120. Keenan Allen, +150. Christian Kirk, +160. Joshua Palmer, +180. Zay Jones, +215. Evan Ingram, +275. Gerald Everett, +280. DeAndre Carter, +310. And then Marvin Jones, +340. Trevor Lawrence, +350. I'll stop there. We can read through the whole list, but nobody wants to hear that. But yeah, if you guys had to pick like one anytime touchdown score, and see, I'll start with you. Who would you go with?
Well, you didn't read the guy I wanted. You said you wanted to have some fun, so I'm going to have some fun. I like Donald Parham in the red zone. He's a big monster target. You have no Mike Williams. I think Donald Parham is going to get a target or two. What's his anytime touchdown number?
Anytime touchdown for Parham right now is +600. First touchdown is +4,000.
Oh, well, we'll get to first touchdown. Don't you worry about that.
Mike, any thoughts that you have here on anytime touchdown?
I'll take a shot on both quarterbacks. Justin Herbert +600 and Trevor Lawrence +350. I think there's scenarios where we see them rushing quite a bit tonight.
Yeah. Prop stars, any thoughts here?
Yeah, I'd go Evan Ingram. I think +275 is a nice value for him. I think he's kind of become one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets. Looks to be just heavily involved, lots of targets. I think he's been the most targeted receiver over the past 6 weeks of the season. So I think when you're getting him around +300 odds, that has some nice value. I know he scored 4 touchdowns this season as well.
Nice. All right, props. I'm going to stay with you real quick. Mike, our man Mike has a question here. Pass and rush yards, 259.5 for Trevor Lawrence. What are your thoughts here?
I think it's pretty solid. Yeah, I definitely do like the rushing prop angle quite as well that Cia's mentioned that he's on. So I do think he's going to air the ball out a lot. I think in a negative game script or where they're trailing, he will just be throwing. So definitely think that looks solid, and I think it's a good way to attack him.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Young 1K asks, Christian Kirk alternate over 40 yards and anytime touchdown. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Christian Kirk as a whole here? Anybody? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to have a good game. I mean, against this Chargers secondary, I mean, you should see Kirk and Ingram and Zay Jones in particular have pretty good games. I don't mind that, but we don't know. He didn't tell us what the number is on the anytime touchdown. But yeah, I mean, Kirk over 40 yards seems not like a lock, but I'm pretty confident about that one.
Yeah. Props. Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, as far as Jaguars pass catchers are concerned, and as pertains to Christian Kirk, they don't have a true number one guy. So it's just really hard to project where that production is going to get distributed to. They have a bunch of kind of number two guys. They have Evan Ingram, who catches a lot of passes as well. They don't have a clear alpha number one wide receiver. Christian Kirk is certainly the closest thing to that, but he doesn't really operate as like a target monster, and you can't really expect him to get 10 plus targets every game. So therefore, you kind of just look for where the best values are across the board. And yeah, you just don't know where those targets are going to kind of go to. So it's just kind of hard to predict where the production is going to end up when we're looking at all these pass catchers, especially on Jacksonville's side.
Yeah, totally.
One thing, Alan, I will say is that Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, they get targeted a lot more against man coverage versus zone. And we're going to see a lot of man coverage from the Chargers. So, you know, again, it's not a condensed target share, but I expect those two guys to flourish regardless, personally.
Yeah. All right. I'll tell you what. Yeah, Mike, go ahead. Yep.
I was just going to say, yeah, considering the amount of man coverage that we see, that's where I typically like to look for some of the longest reception props as well, where they're not necessarily sitting down in the zone. You have more opportunities for bigger plays. Busted coverage is more significant when you're playing man coverage. So that's how I would prefer to attack any number of the Jags receivers.
All right. I'll tell you what, Mike, I'm going to stay there with you real quick and then see it. Props. I want to hear your thoughts here. Our man, Simple Saint, interesting question. Both teams to score 20 points or more, plus 110. Mike, what do you think?
I don't mind it. I do think there's the decent scenario, though, that we see a 23-17 win on the Chargers side. It really just depends on how effective they are running the football, what kind of big plays we see. So generally not something I want to get into playing. But if you like it, it's definitely not the worst game to play this in.
Yeah. See ya. Yeah. I mean, you're on the over here, so I assume you like this, but you tell me.
I like it. I like it at the plus number in particular. I mean, listen, obviously the implied numbers for both of these teams are above 20. That's not always how it works out, obviously, but because we're getting plus 110 here, and I expect, again, I'm predicating my whole over on the theory that both defenses are pretty bad and not as good as they have been over the last 4 or 5 weeks against that competition. So I expect both offenses to move the ball. The Chargers specifically to move it with the passing game, and the Jacksonville Jaguars to be able to move it both with the running and passing game. So I like that plus 110. I like it.
Nice. Yeah. Props. Any thoughts yet?
Yeah, I would agree with both these gentlemen. I think it's a good spot. I think this game's going to be high scoring. I think you're going to see a ton of passing volume as well. I think just because of the Chargers' inability to really run the ball is going to result in a lot of short drives or just drives that don't really bleed a lot of clock. So could see a lot of possessions to this game. I think it leads to a lot of scoring.
Nice. I tell you what, speaking of scoring, let's get to our gym game for tonight. All right. And for anybody that's brand new, how you play this game is this. You have to pick the first touchdown score of the game, and it has to be odds of plus 1,000 or greater, and you get in the club. Now, everybody in this room is in the club. And in the 2 years that we've done this, everybody has been a multiple entrant into the club. Now, Mikey started it. So, Mikey, you're going to go first. My man, who you got?
We are going with Keenan Allen. The other day on the prop show, I tuned in the chat and called Alex chalk stars. So I figured I needed to come in and take the chalk here away from him. I like side stars also as well because we're on the same side tonight. But
We are.
It's Keenan Allen. The number's ballooned to 1,100 currently in some places. I like Keenan Allen. He's probably the best wide receiver in this game. I'm on the Chargers side. It makes a lot of sense. I got to the email thread before everybody else did today. That is why I have this play.
Strong work. Strong work. Yeah. Props?
I was 100% going to take Keenan Allen as well and allude to the fact that Mike did refer to me as Chalk Star. So well done there, Mikey. But I'm going Evan Ingram plus 1,700. I mentioned how he's been Trevor Lawrence's favorite target over the last 6-7 weeks of the season. I anticipate that happening tonight as well. I think he's going to get a look or two in the end zone. I think it's good value.
All right. I'll tell you what. Now, I kind of feel your play really strong. So, dude, I'm going to get out of your way. I want you to go break it down. What do you got?
Well, I'm kind of paying homage to last year when I was, the 3-time champ. My first hit was Tyson Williams, if everybody recalls. Of course you do, right? My second one, before the Hunter Renfrow hit that got me the third one in, was in fact Donald Parham. And again, with Mike Williams, first of all, even with Mike Williams was playing, regardless, Donald Parham, especially early in the game, they designed some things for him, particularly in the red zone. We've seen that actually over the last couple of years. He's a big target. All the attention is going to be paid to guys like Keenan Allen for good reason. I love the Keenan Allen play, including anytime touchdown. But I think Donald Parham gets involved particularly early, not the whole game, but particularly early. And again, a huge target for Justin Herbert. It's plus 3,500 in some places. It's plus 4,000 in others. I'm going to go back to my roots. I'm going to hit Donald Parham again in 2023 like I did in 2022.
See, I like you going back to your roots. That's what I like a lot. Let me put these on the screen here so everybody can see. I'm going Christian Kirk, 1,100 again. See, you brought it up earlier, and it's been fascinating to watch where the targets have gone for this Jaguars offense throughout the season. But you know what? I kind of like Christian Kirk here, especially if the Jaguars try to put something deep. I really like that play. Jake the Snake, he's on Trevor Lawrence, which, to be honest, not a bad play in this one. Mikey, he spoke about it earlier in regards to both quarterbacks. Not a bad play there at all. Snake looking to get in the club for the first time, not only this season, but obviously his career with the early edge. So you know what? Not a bad play at all. Stacy, she asked, any donkey or goose? None tonight for this game, but we're going to be live Sunday night, same time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, props. You going to have one tomorrow night?
I will have one tomorrow night.
Yeah, throughout the playoffs, like it's going to be depending on the matchup, right? Like the one thing that both Mike and props will not do is throw you out some garbage, right? Like they're not going to do that at all. So when they don't have one, like be happy with it, right? Like they're not force feeding you anything bad. And then Monday night, Bucks Cowboys, like I assume we'll probably have that ready to go. All right, now let's get into our best bets one more time. Pull this up and then let everyone get out of here because the game's about to start in about 8 minutes or so. So let me put this on the screen and I'll read it through real quickly. Prop stars on Austin Eckler under 51.5 rushing yards. C is on Keenan Allen over 6.5 receptions. Trevor Lawrence over 13.5 rushing yards. Chargers-Jags over 47.5. Mikey's on Chargers money line. Dave Richards on Josh Palmer over 4.5 receptions. I'm riding Jaguars team total over 22.5. Chargers team total over 23.5. And Chargers-Jags total punts over 8.5. The Maestro's on Travis Etienne over 75.5 rushing yards. And the speculator is on Austin Eckler over 4.5 receptions. Now, this is the part, all right, where we all break down, something we're looking forward to tonight. Prop stars, I'm going to start with you. But unfortunately, I'm going to take the spot of what you are going to speak about. Our man, Bob Konarski, Berg Bets, Bobby Locks is in the chat, fresh off the morning show on the Early Edge today. And we spoke a little bit about his New York Giants. Any thoughts early that you have for tomorrow on the Vikings and Giants game?
Yeah, what an interesting matchup. I really think this could go either way. Two first-year head coaches that have really turned their franchises around. Daniel Jones' reclamation project, really impressive stuff. He's been the catalyst of the Giants' turnaround, especially over the second half of the season. I know Barkley got off to that really hot start, but I've just been so impressed with the way Daniel Jones is playing, especially if you look at the group of pass catchers he's been throwing to. It seems like a different guy asserts himself as a number one wide receiver every week. Giants defense has not been good either. They're not good stopping the run or stopping the pass. So much credit to Brian Daboll, so much credit to Daniel Jones. So really looking forward to this matchup. I could honestly see any team winning. Can't wait to see Justin Jefferson play football tomorrow. He's going to be fired up for this game. So really excited for that game.
There we go. All right, see ya. Any thoughts you have on the game tonight?
It's funny you brought up that Minnesota Giants game, actually, because my thoughts are I don't know which one of these two teams tonight is any good. I've been down on Jacksonville, much like Minnesota, this entire year. But I still can't decide this is why I don't have anything against the spread on this game. I can't decide who's going to win because I don't know if the Chargers are legitimate either. And it's the same thing with Minnesota and the New York Giants. What I'm looking forward to as these playoffs progress is which are the legitimate teams? Like some of them have to be good, right? And so I think we're going to find out today and tomorrow, hey, maybe some of these teams actually are legit. Is it the Chargers? I don't know. Is it the Jaguars? I don't know. Same with Minnesota and the New York Giants. So that's why these 2 days are really exciting, because we have no idea ultimately who's for real and who isn't.
Yeah, dude, I feel the same way about Monday with the Cowboys and the Bucs. Like, I have no idea what to expect, right? No clue. This is going to be a great weekend. Mikey, take us home, buddy. We got.
Yeah, super interested to see how the game goes here. As a Chiefs fan, I never want to be wrong on any bet. I would love to be wrong and see Jacksonville win. I don't want the Chiefs playing the Chargers again. I hate those divisional matchups. But look, Staley's going to be coaching for his job in this one. I think we're going to see a ton of Justin Herbert to Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. I think the defense is the story here, though. It's one of the first times in a while we've really seen Bosa and Mack together unlimited. I think it's going to cause some problems here. So, like Mitch Chargers.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I was going to say the exact same thing. Like, the matchup that I'm most fascinated to watch is the Chargers D-line and rush against the Jaguars O-line and Trevor Lawrence, because, again, Trevor Lawrence gets the ball out quick, but, dude, like, you could get trapped back there, and he's had a lot of sacks and a lot of turnovers on those sacks. So I'm fascinated to see how that plays out. And Sia, you mentioned it earlier. A lot of turnovers generally leads to short fields, right? And you being on the over. So, yeah, I'm fascinated to see that. All right. Any final thoughts that we have before we go? Everybody good?
Buckle up, and we'll see you tomorrow night, at least for the primetime NFL. I know we have the early edge tomorrow as well, but in the morning. But I can't wait for this. We got 3 nights in a row doing primetime NFL. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Props. Yeah, what do you got, bub?
Quick take on the game. I am really curious to see how long Doug Peterson sticks with the run, especially if they find themselves trailing in the first half. If Travis Etienne is running well, I'm very curious to see if they're losing, if he sticks with him.
About 2 drives, right?
Exactly.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be live Sunday morning, normal time, 10 a.m. Eastern, a normal early edge AM show. We'll probably go a little bit longer talking about the games because you're going to have the NFL guys on there. And then no midday show, but we will have 7:30 p.m. Eastern breaking down the night game Sunday. And then, as Sia mentioned, Monday night as well, Cowboys and Bucs. But until tomorrow, everybody, best of luck. Let's cash these tickets. We'll see you in the morning. Thanks.